Hello and welcome to ChinnyVision. This time we're going Commando. Commando is a 1985 arcade game by Capcom. Can't actually say I ever originally saw it back in the arcades, but it was ported to lots and lots of systems, and we're going to look at a few of the systems today. Essentially, and I guess you know the plot, you are a single soldier dropped in the jungle and you have to take on hordes and hordes of enemies in order to complete your mission. So we're starting off on the Spectrum, and unfortunately I can't get the 128K version of this to run because I swear I've played a 128K version with an absolutely brilliant tune, but yeah, I can't get it to run on my plus 2 here, so we're stuck with the 48K version. So just to find the keys and off we go. And very primitive graphics, but it moves well here on the Specky. Oh, I've just died. Very detailed, and yeah, the game was ported to the home systems, or the British home systems, by Elite, and some familiar names there on the programming screen you would have seen. But this isn't bad at all, and it moves really well. The yellow ground is a little bit distracting, but hey, I guess it, you know, the arcade's browny colour and the Specky doesn't have that kind of brown. It's got to get underneath the bridge here. Oh, you've got to just watch out because you can be unsighted to baddies coming through there. Before I go, oh, just got to keep moving. You just got to keep moving. Oh, no, I bought it there. And you've got a machine gun, and you've also got grenades that you can launch, but you've only got a limited amount of grenades, or bombs. Sorry, as the screen says, I've got 11 bombs at the moment. And you pick up those red crates that have more bombs inside them. At the end of each level, a gate opens up, and there's a boss rush kind of thing, with lots of enemies suddenly pouring out at you. And yeah, it's pretty good on Specky. Moving over to the Amstrad CPC. And there we go, published by Elite. Interesting, the Specky 128K version, which we didn't see, doesn't have that music we've just heard on the title screen. And as I say, the music on that version is much nicer than this version here. The Amstrad music's very beepy. So off we go, and we've got a green background this time, greeny brown, probably the best you can imagine on the Amstrad. The graphics mode 0, nice and colourful. Scrolling's not too bad as well, actually. It moves along fairly well. I just forwarded it on to Area 3, because we've seen Area 1 on the Specky. Little men who come out of the huts. There are various vehicles that shoot at you as well in the game. It's not on the Amstrad as polished as Atari Warriors, and you've already noticed that when some of the enemies overlap the black areas, they flicker like crazy. And we might see that later if we get as far as the runway section. I am playing the Amstrad version with a cheat. And there we go, they've got a lorry there. You've got to use the grenades, or bombs as the game keeps on calling them, to destroy the vehicles. And on a one fire button system, that's a little bit annoying because you can either hold down the... Oh, here we go. Here's the... Right, you see, already see... Oh, look at this. It's horrific. It's really awful. When you go over these black sections, it turns into a horrible, horrible mess. What is going on here? There's some massive sprite coding issue here. And it slows down as well when that's going on. Oh, dear. Would have thought they would have managed to iron that problem out, but apparently not. So onwards we plough. The levels are quite short, and you always get this big door at the end of the level. Actually, no, you don't, as we see on the Commodore 64 version, which we're looking at now. There's variations of it. Lovely music, lovely Civ music here on the title screen. It's much more polished than the other two 8-bit versions. I think we can say that safely before we start. So off we go, and nice use of the C64 hardware with the sprites and the scrolling, so it's lovely and smooth. The enemy graphics aren't too colourful. I've died there. Right, let's try and press on. pressing on here, right. The enemies jump off of the cliffs at you. Can I get that? No. Right, so we're coming up towards the end of the level. See what the boss rush is like on the C64. So far, this is the version that invokes the memory of the arcade the most. It's not as colourful as the Amstrad version. It's a lot of grey in use here. It has to be said, you can see it on the walls there and on the main player sprites and the enemy sprites as well. It needs a little bit of a more splash of colour, but that might just be a thing they've done here on the C64 to keep it. Oh, there we go. Fairly easy to complete the first level here on the C64. Into the second area. These little funny things that are supposed to be tanks. And what is that? What's that? It's like a Grand Prix car that just went past. One of the later levels now with that runway. No flickering problems here on the C64, unlike the Amstrad. It's all working. Oh, that said, the vehicles are disappearing and flickering, but not as bad as the Amstrad version which was fairly horrific. And it is fairly repetitive, and this is what I was saying about the end of levels being slightly different. This one's got a different setup with windows and things. It is a fairly repetitive game, not a lot of variation. And we're over to the C16, so let's see what the 16K machine can do. Invade enemy territory and clear all areas before destroying the... Right, off we go. Oh, I'm dead. What is going on here? It's whack-a-mole. So, right, does the screen scroll? Do I have to run past these people? No. This is it. This is level 1 of Commando on the C16. It's shoot all the men that pop out of the holes and that's it. Ho. It's not really Commando, is it? If we're honest. Right, can I shoot him? Time it properly. There we go. Level 1 completed. Rush to level 2. Or level 2 is just one screen from each of the levels. It's the water bit we saw on level 2 on the C64 with the bloke with the rocket launcher in the water. This is horrific. Oh no, I'm back to I've lost all my lives. I'm back to level 1. Oh, this is fairly terrible. Okay, the C16 hasn't got a lot of memory, but why bother? If you'd played the arcade machine and then you bought this on the C16, you'd be really disappointed. It's really, even as a budget game, you'd be going, right, it's not a lot to this, is there? And no, there isn't. And okay, you know, it deserves some respect for even trying to port it to the C16, but really, why bother? This, you'd have taken it back and said, this isn't Commando, it's just a kind of approximation of Commando. Oh, no, let's try again. They just start firing at you straight away and you die if you don't move on the first level. Oh dear. Right, over to the BBC Micro, and there's 2 ports because there's a BBC Micro port and an Electron port as well, so we can look at both of them. And we're going to start off on the BBC Micro here, written by Trevor Harwood, graphics John Nixon. Off we go. Oh, it's slow. The enemies are coming, they're crawling towards me, and it's very, very slow and very, very garish. But what does it play like? As well, okay. Oh, it's doing a funny BBC Micro scrolling thing. When you get together to screen, it's scrolling it in chunks at a time. It's very slow. Very slow indeed. At least you can see the bullets coming, because you've got about 3 weeks to get out of the way. Oh, that said, I didn't see that one coming. I didn't see anything at all. He must have just... Oh dear. Yeah, off we go. Well, my bullets are okay. My bullets move quite fast. Right, let's go. Any motorbikes on this version? Nope. Oh no, no, it's a tiny motorbike. A tiny man on a tiny motorbike rides over the top of the bridge. Oh dear. Right, let's try this on the Electron. because these are essentially the same versions, but we'll see how this fares on the Elk and just see if we can get a bit further. Right, off we go. And it's even slower. It actually manages to be slower than the BBC Micro version. And it is a problem with the Elk because it doesn't have the same speed access to the memory that the BBC Micro does, so trying to get this stuff to work on a Electron is always a challenge. Oh, dear me. Dear, dear, dear. Right, come on, come on. Let's go, let's move, let's get off here. And it scrolls forward. I know Commando's a scrolling game, but the scrolling, you'd think they might have just turned it to flip screen just to speed it up a little bit. And I've just moved this on towards the end of the level, so here we go. Let's see what happens when you get a lot of baddies on the screen at once. And the frame rate can be measured in not frames per second, but frames per day. Right, so the boss. Here comes the boss rush. Is it boss rush when you get lots of enemies running? I suppose it is, really. And I suppose boss rush would be when you get lots of bosses coming at you like the end of Space Harrier. So, no. Right. Got plenty of time to think about this stuff because nothing is happening on the screen. As more sprites appear, it slows down even more. I'm sticking with this. I'm sticking with this. It's essentially the same with the BBC Micro, except faster. But not that much faster. Probably about a quarter faster, I guess. Third faster. Firing from behind these sandbags here. They're all running towards me, so hopefully I can polish them all off. And get out of the way. Oh, ho, ho. And there's a sprite overlap issue as well going on. Can I shoot him? I can. Come on, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We are persisting. I'm going to complete this level. On C64, I probably would have played about three levels by now. Speeds up a bit now. I've only got 2 sprites on the screen. Can I get through? Or do I have to polish these 2 off? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Get out of the way. Shoot, 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 shoot. Shoot, kill, kill, kill. Right, one more sprite. And I've got a bit of speed now. Going for it. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. Just don't want him to fire at me because I want me to get out of the way because it's so slow. Yay, right. Yes, just firing a few off just to make sure there's no one getting through. Right, level 2. Level 2 of slowness. We've got some tiny motorcyclist, about half the size of the main player sprites, riding across the screen and... oh, dear. Forward this on to the end of the level, and this is the final... boss rush. I'm sorry, it's not a boss rush, is it? Sorry. The final bit, the end of level 2, and just a horrible mess. It's not very good on the BBC Micro, but on the Electron, it's... sorry, I've probably stuck with this version for far too long, but it just doesn't work, really. It's just too slow. So let's see what the 16 bits can bring us, something better than that BBC Micro version, hopefully. Thanks to the Pompey Pirates who thoughtfully cracked this game many, many years ago for the ST, because I couldn't get any images working on my ST until I found a Pompey Pirates disc that actually had a version of Commando that works. So off we go. Commando cracked by the Alien. I think he also cracked that version of Hard Driving I reviewed a few months back. The Pompey Pirates have managed to hack themselves onto the main screen. Then they've got the helicopter on this version. We jump down and... player 1 ready, and off we go. Nice graphics, very reminiscent of the arcade. Oh, it's nice to have some speed. Oh, this is a relief. It's like take off a tight pair of shoes after playing the BBC Micro version. There's a nice turn of speed. It's reminiscent of the arcade. You turn, you shoot, everything happens. Oh, it's lovely. Of course, it got to adjust back to the game that runs at a normal speed. Right, okay, let's just try and get through there. Fire off a grenade at him. Right, and normal size motorcycles. This looks very, very nice here on the ST. And nice music as well running in the background, and sound effects. You get music and sound effects. Right, okay, off to the end of level 1. Let's see what this is like. Get different music as well for this, and the doors open. Right. You kill the green men, you get bonus points there, 2,000 for him. You just got to keep moving because they're always firing at you. So you just got to keep moving. It's really, I said it earlier, but it's a culture shock coming straight over from that Electron version. It's pretty much faster. And off we go, and that's level 1 complete. That wasn't too bad at all, actually. We've got a nice graphic here, broke the first area, now rush to the second area. Smoking a cigarette, you wouldn't be able to have that in a game today without a PEGI 18 rating or something. Oh dear. Alright, we'll watch out for these, and the cars and the tanks and the bikes. Right, got him. Right. Forwarded it on, going over the water. These are them placements to get past. Just keep moving. Commando, the secret is just to keep moving the entire time. We come up to the end of level 2. And again, the levels are really short on Commando. I mean, it's something that's inherent in the arcade version as well. It just is how this game is, and the thing is, you're going to compare it to Atari Warriors as well, which came later, which has much more expansive levels and gameplay than Commando. And that's the ST, and over to the Amiga. I wonder if this is going to be similar to the ST, or we'll see. Oh, nice shaking of the palm trees when you land. A little bit smoother than the ST, a little bit more colourful. And music a little bit more authentic to the arcade, because of course it's not the AY chip. They've got a nice sampled version here. Well, not sampled version, but you see what I mean, because the Amiga sound chip only uses sound samples. And yeah, it's very nice here on the Amiga. One of the earliest 16-bit titles, and one that isn't a disappointment. It's a very nice port. If you played Commando in the arcade, then these two 16-bit versions stand up pretty well. So, how well does Commando translate from the arcade to the home? Well, on the 8-bits, the BBC Micro version and the C16 version really are pretty poor. The C16 you can kind of forgive it because of the lack of memory. The BBC Micro version and the Electron version, well, the BBC Micro version is slow and garish, but goodness me, the Electron version is something else. I probably stuck with it far too long in the review, but I just wanted to see really how far I could get and just see some of those speed variations at the end of the levels. Probably one to avoid on those platforms. The Spectrum, the CPC and the C64, well, the Speccy version's quite good, and if you can get that 128K version with the music, yeah, it's really, really nice. CPC version's a little bit garish, and I'm afraid it does suffer from that horrible sprite flickering problem. On the C64, it's a very reasonable port of the arcade game onto an 8-bit system. Could do a little bit of a splash more colour, but the SID rendition of the theme tune from Commando is really, really nice, and the scrolling and everything in it plays really well, just aesthetically could do a little bit better, but no, I enjoyed it. On the ST and Amiga, this game's a winner really. Both the versions are very, very competent ports, especially in an era where, and it is one of the early 16-bit games, where some of the ports weren't so good. One thing I will say is if you've got an ST and you want to download this image to play on your real ST on a floppy disk, then find yourself a copy of Pompey Pirates Disc 19, because frankly every other version I tried crashed. Overall, with Commando on the 16-bit systems you're laughing. On the 8-bit systems, I guess it depends on which computer you have.